Our last reading and writing unit of the year is all about the civil rights movement. We're going to take this time, the next couple of weeks, to learn about the civil rights movement and specifically about a leader within the civil rights movement. You can see on my screen that I have a book about Rosa Parks. We, your teachers, are going to be modeling using Rosa Parks. You guys, the students, are going to get to choose from a couple different leaders that you would want to research. So your job is not to research Rosa Parks. That is our example. You will choose from a different list. All of you guys will have a graphic organizer that looks like this. It will have some directions, including to read about your civil rights leader, to take notes as you're reading, to focus on his or her actions for the civil rights movement. There'll be more resources, including the ones that we have sent you. But before you even start doing that, you're going to use this KWL chart to write down some things that you know. So these could be things that you know about your specific leader or about the civil rights movement. So I might write down that Rosa Parks was someone who sat at the front of the bus, even though she wasn't supposed to. I might write, I don't know what's happening. She used nonviolence to spread equality. And I might write the civil rights movement was about getting rid of segregation. Now, if you don't know anything about the civil rights movement, my suggestion is going to be that right now you go and watch one of the read aloud recordings of it so that you can find some information, okay? What do I want to know about Rosa Parks or the civil rights movement? I want to know what inspired her to stay in her seat on the bus. I want to know how her family felt about it. Because she was someone that was arrested after all of this. So how did her family feel going into this? And maybe I want to know, how did she feel when she was on the bus? Okay. Then I'm going to do some reading and I can write down some things that I've learned. There are also other pages where you can write just notes. Plenty of pages for notes. At the end, there's also a timeline. Remember, a timeline are things that happen in a specific order. So maybe you would start with when she was born. Maybe you would go into where she went to school growing up. Things like that. So you have 2 pages for that, okay? I'm going to practice reading a little bit and taking some notes. My notes can go in what I've learned, but they can also just go in notes. Rosa Parks. Here, like in most nonfiction books, we have the table of contents. So if I wanted to know about her growing up, I can go to page 8. If I wanted to know about her standing up for civil rights, I can go to page 14. Since it's the very beginning, we're going to start with the beginning with who was Rosa Parks. Who was Rosa Parks? Can you imagine a world where white children could ride the school bus every morning, but black children had to walk? Can you imagine a world where black children couldn't drink from the same water fountains as white people or sit with them on the city bus? This world was real, and it happened in the United States. And here you can see there was a time when black people had to use separate back entrances to movie theaters and restaurants. Only white people felt they should be some white people felt they should be treated better than black people. Segregation laws were used to give more rights and a better life to white people. So I wrote in here the word segregation, and here it's coming up again. If you don't know the word segregation, it means the act of keeping a group apart from others. Rosa Parks helped change these unfair laws by thinking and acting. She stood up for herself and others her whole life. So that's something that I learned. This was a whole life thing. In her words, I did not resist being mistreated. I would spend the rest, if I did not resist being mistreated, I would spend the rest of my life being mistreated. That quote makes me think that she was just kind of fed up. So that could be a note that I write down. Seemed fed up with being mistreated. Growing up, Rosa Parks was born Rosa Louise Macaulay on February 4th, 1913 in Tuskegee, Alabama. She lived on a farm with her parents and grandparents. She was a small, quiet girl. She loved to read nursery rhymes and fairy tales like Little Red Riding Hood. She also helped take care of her little brother, Sylvester. So even though right now I'm working on this page, I might want to go down and write that right into my timeline. Into my timeline, I can type right here, born, and I can copy it right from the page. So if maybe I don't know how to spell her last name or I forgot what day she was born, I can go right back to it. On February 4th, 1913. That doesn't mean I have to keep going with my timeline. I might want to take some notes in a different section. You're going to continue to read and continue to take notes as you're reading your story. Rosa's parents were born as slaves. They taught her that all people deserve fair treatment. When Rosa was a child, slavery was over, but white people still had more freedom than black people. One day when Rosa was 11, a white boy pushed her. She pushed back. The boy's mother told Rosa that she would go to jail. Rosa stood up for herself. She told them she didn't want to be pushed. So that might be a note that I write down in my notes. Rosa always stood up for herself. Even when she was only 11 years old. As you read, you're going to continue to take notes. Continue to keep track of things like this. Your job today is to really focus on those notes that you're taking. You want to make sure that they're focused on your leader and what they did during the civil rights. I'm looking for you to jot down some important information about your historical figure as you are reading. Now you can see that I have some spots filled in and others not filled in. As I continue to read, I'm going to continue to fill in more.